Welcome to the BLUF podcast, where you get the bottom line up front and we won't waste your time.
All right, hello, and welcome back to the Command Sergeant Major Bottom Line Up Front podcast, also known as the CSM BLUF line. I'm your host, Command Sergeant Major Jimenez, your Garrison Command Sergeant Major, and I want to say thank you to all that are tuning in. Again, this is another way of communicating out to you guys, to our community, to our workforce, in place of the virtual town hall as we go to a bi-weekly information line. We want to help facilitate the communication. And I am here to help the decision-making process in facilitating and integrating information and processes for our garrison commander, as well as our community. And a big thank you to you guys for tuning in and getting the latest information that we have to bring out to you. Again, this is a communication line and it helps our overall goal. That is to deliver quality, standardized, and efficient services across our installation by being fluid, transparent with our community. There are a few things I would like to cover in today's podcast, and one of those is having the privilege to talk to our first guest on the BLUF or Bottom Line Upfront podcast, our very own Department of Public Works Director, Mr. Joe Davis. Thank you for being here, Mr. Joe Davis. With saying that, we know that you're getting close to retirement, and I want to make sure we had the opportunity to have you on the podcast to tell us just a little bit about your leadership journey as Team Redstone member and as a leader of our garrison community and workforce. I know people out there are very interested in just getting to know what it takes and getting to know a little bit about Joe, Mr. Davis, and his journey. And I can tell you that just a little bit about him. He had 38 years of service, of government service, which is amazing to know and understand and get to meet a person of that caliber holding down that many years. Also, being a member of Directorate of Public Works for 14 years is a great feat, and I know he brought a lot of good, innovative processes to the organization. Again, he's getting ready to retire. We want to have the opportunity to catch up with him, ask him about some of his stories. I know he's a good storyteller, is what I've heard, and we want to give him a little opportunity to just tell us a little bit about him. Okay. Mr. Joe Davis, thank you for being on the podcast, and just to give you an opportunity to talk.
Well, thank you for letting me come on here today and talk. I don't know if anybody's interested in anything I got to say, but I'll be glad to answer your questions or talk about anything. I'm a very blessed individual to find a place that I like to work and have enjoyed and loved the people I work with and been able to stay here and watch this place grow. If you have a job that you don't like, it makes for a long day. And the days here fly by because every day is different. Never have I had the same day twice. And you just really, in our world, never know what's coming at you because we maintain and operate a lot of the functions on post. So I would tell you, first and foremost, my hat's off to all the folks that work in public works because everybody that comes to work here, 42,000 people come through the gate every day, and they expect to have a building that's clean and comfortable and dry, and the power's on, and the toilet's flushed, and the grass is mowed, and the custodians have it clean, and all those basic services. And the folks here do that day in, day out, never blink an eye at whatever they get thrown at them, because if you've got 14.5 million square feet of space and 42,000 people, you're going to encounter a bunch of unusual situations that crop up. My mother asked me one time what I did that day, and I told her that I spent the morning with a congressman trying to get a new building, and I spent the afternoon getting a dead skunk off the road, and it was pretty much everything in between. So our world's fun. It's different. It's not always sexy, but it gives us some unique challenges. I've also been blessed to have a job 38 years, and to have it in a place that I like is even better. I would tell you that I've been the director here for the past 14 years, and that's a job I never aspired to get. I just enjoyed the work here, and things had a way of working themselves out. I am happy to tell you that in my retirement, we've already selected a gentleman named Joey Skinner, who's going to be the next director, and he's going to carry us. He'll do a way better job than I ever did. But he's also been here for 25 years, so he knows how our systems are set up. He knows how the arsenal operates, and so does the workforce here. Most of them get in our world. If they like it, they stay for their life. And same with our contractors. This is not a one-way street with the government employees, quite honestly. I mean, they're half the puzzle. The other half is our contractors that work with us. And that's everything from Phoenix cleaning the buildings, cutting the grass, to Wolf Creek maintaining the buildings and operating the water plants and electrical systems. And it's also down to our contractors that do work for us out here, because we engineer, design, and construct most of the renovations on post. So that's a huge workforce. There's a lot of people who feed their family out of our world, and they come back day after day to do the best job they can and give the government the best bang for their buck.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Davis. And I've been here going on 8 months, and I really want to thank you for bringing me into the fold and really getting a grasp and an understanding of how things work on the other side of the curtain, so to speak. As a green suit, as a soldier for the last almost 28 years, kind of just always asked, and things showed up. And then when you get to this side, on the garrison side, and really see how things get put together and actually work, it really is an eye-opener. And I want to thank you for giving me a good laydown on how public works actually operates. And to tell you the truth, there's really, unless you really work on the installation, and even then, there's a lot of people out there that don't even know what happens on a post or installation when you get outside, and they live right outside the community. And it's eye-opening to know that they just know that stuff's happening inside those gates. And then you guys, the Public Works, you, Joe, as the director of Public Works, has really brought together and helped this city within the city run. Pretty neat.
Well, thank you. But first off, Mr. Davis is my grandpa. My name's Joe. But I would tell you that it is a lot of behind the curtains activities that make this place tick every day, and it takes a lot of people doing a lot of basic functions that a lot of people just take for granted. I mean, like I said, people take for granted that the services are going to be provided. And you never know what's going to be thrown at you, because at 6:30 in the morning, when a band of raccoons runs through one of our major substations and explodes half the system that's out there, you got to get the power back on quick, because they got to go to work. And so you just can't plan for things in our world, because they don't break on a schedule. I guess that's the fun and challenging part of it.
No, I bet you'd have to, in the years you've put in, have to adapt and have to strategize different ways of doing things. Different leaderships that come in and out of the installation, different ways of processing public works, and the intricacies that they get into with the contracting world, and continuing to run this city within a city. And I want to see if you got a little bit of a story to tell us on maybe when President Bush visited Redstone and some of the intricacies that had to go behind that, or anything that you might want to share with us in that special event that occurred.
Well, and that was a special event. Getting to meet the president was a pretty important deal. But I will tell you, just like that day, when you bring a president of the United States here, the security level cranks up quite a bit. So the Secret Service and their bomb-sniffing dogs and all the stuff we were doing he was here to visit Missig. And that particular trip, we had a electrician that was doing some wiring for some things to support the event, and apparently he left a little bit of a naked wire hanging out, and one of the I think $20,000 bomb-sniffing dogs decided to hike his leg up and pee on that particular wire. It didn't end well for the dog. It smoked him pretty much, but that's, you just deal with what you got. But that, just little things like that happen. I've had a lot of, I'm not going to say good things, but things happen in our world. one day I got a call from the Sparkman Management Office, and they said, you need to come over here, because we had built 6 buildings in the Sparkman Center, and we were building the 7th one, and it was right next to the auditorium. And the night before, we'd gotten a pretty torrential rain, and I didn't realize how much they had dug out against the auditorium, so we turned the Bob Jones Auditorium into a swimming pool. It was about 4 feet deep in water, and that was not a planned event. We built building 5308, and I got a call one day, said, you might want to come over here. We got a little problem. When we got down to the bottom floor, there was 2 foot deep of floating sewage in the basement, and we already had cubicles and everything in place fixing to move people in. So I will tell you, there were, especially Phoenix and the custodial staff and the Wolf Creek folks, you fix the problem, but you deal with you deal with the hand you're dealt, and that one was not a pleasant day in our world. But I mean, those 2 stick out as bad days, but most days are good. Days when we can do our business, keep the traffic flowing, keep power on, keep everybody happy. Those are the good days in our world.
I'm most definitely, Joe, and thank you for sharing that story. It kind of reminds me of a saying that sometimes you win and sometimes you learn from different issues that you have to, or challenges you have to face. I've had to, kind of deal with, certain phases in my life, in my career too, as I came along, as well as you did. And for me, it was, there was a challenge. It was really a test of how I was going to act or react, and if it was a good or if it was a failure, it allowed me to learn and improve, and then re-enter that challenge or that phase of adversity that came through. But no, I'm sure that you've had some challenges in the public works, and being adaptable and being able to really see what's coming, and that's really key attributes of a leader. And I want to see what your thoughts are on the future coming up of a younger generation, what you might offer to them.
Well, and thank you for bringing that up, because our workforce out here is typically not the highest graded grade structure on post. So we face constant turnover, our people leaving and going to other places on the installation, but for better paying jobs. But it gives us opportunities to rebuild our workforce with co-op students, get fresh out of college, and educate them and get them hooked on our world. If you ever get a young engineer hooked on what we do for a living, it's not the sexy helicopter electronics or hydraulics. We provide basic services, but if you can get them hooked on it early on, you got it, and then they'll stay with you from here on. The goodness about the others leaving and going to other places is now you've got customers who have a workforce educated in our processes and how we do business and how stuff gets done. So they're a much better educated customer, so that when we go to do their work, they know what we're asking for and why we're asking it, and they know the challenges out there. I will tell you, before I get to the future, I grew up as just a kid from Hazel Green, Alabama, and all I ever wanted to do was build stuff. So this place has scratched my itch for a long time. One of my favorite projects I mentioned was the Sparkman Center, simply because I was a project engineer and then a project manager on the last part of it. The gentleman that I dreamed the thing up and politics for the money to get it to where we could build it is a guy named Sam Fields, and Sam got killed in a tractor accident right in the middle of building it. So one day I went from just working on it to working at a higher level on it. So it gave me an opportunity to see a lot of different technologies and things that have become our standard out here. We went to every private corporation that would let us in the door and stole all our best ideas that we could get. Things like terrazzo floors and raised flooring for running all our computer cables under it, movable walls, and just low-E glass, and all the things that made energy sense and functionality sense that paid us big dividends in the future once we got occupied in a building and started moving around in it. The one constant about this place is movement. Somebody's moving somewhere all the time, and that means you're resetting the place for them all the time.
No, and that's pretty awesome. And you talk about opportunity, and I'll tell you that, opportunity is there, and putting forth the good old hard work, where the rubber meets the road, kind of coming up for the future. It really pays off. As long as you continue to put forth your best effort, day in, day out. It allows for that.
Yeah, I don't know of anybody that comes out here every day to screw stuff up. They come do the best they can for the customer. I will tell you that we've had some significant growth since I've been here, and we've cleaned up a lot of the old facilities and gotten them gone, because there were organizations that were scattered across 18 different buildings when we moved them consolidated into Sparkman. Well, that made a lot of economies of scale, but it also allowed us to tear down a lot of old facilities and then improve our energy usage and all that. So we've made some pretty significant strides in the way we stretch our money out. Just like everybody else, we don't get all the money we need, and we incorporate a lot of ingenuity, if you will, into saving money or avoiding costs just by recycling everything we can, reusing buildings that make sense. We ag lease out everything that's not being used for cows or timber or hay. We recycle all our asphalt. We do anything we can to keep the cost of the taxpayer down, to keep the doors open to this place. But it's usually a challenge, but we're postured, though, for the future in a really good way. There is plenty of ample land to build on. A lot of it, 1,500 to 3,000 acres of land that's available with utilities to a lot of it. So when we talk to future missions like Space Command and others coming here, it's easier for us to find a place. It's just finding the right place. And I will tell you too that we try to keep the missions that are coming here synergistic with what's already here, so they can feed off each other. There's a lot of synergies between the FBI and everybody else that was here doing energetics or propulsion work, because that's similar to the kinds of work they do. So there's lots of bleed over between organizations out here. I will tell you, though, there's 72-ish government agencies out here, and every one of them think their project's the most important. They all got to be done today, but we do a pretty good job of keeping them all flowing and keeping the mission accomplished and just getting their job done.
Joe, and I've seen that the 8 months I've been here. I mean, you've been a great asset to the team as we continue to push forward. As well as I do in our community. We've been combating COVID-19, and you, along with all our community and employees, have done an outstanding job to continue to push forward, continue to keep our installation open, continue to keep our workforce employed, and it's really because of coming up with new and innovative ways to keep our workforce pushing forward safely. Again, we've always looked at how we continue our services in a methodical and phased approach, and you, along with all the rest of the team, have helped facilitate that, and it's really because of your leadership and pushing out that message to let's get the job done, but let's be safe. And you really bring the aspect of people matter to the installation, to your department, your directorate, and I think everybody appreciates what you brought. You will be missed, but as a good leader, I know you have planted the seed for the next in line, like you said, Mr. Joey Skinner, to come in and take the reins. I know that your directors and your team out there will miss you, but they know that you've placed them in good hands.
Well, I think we've postured ourselves for the future. I tell you, just this morning we had a couple of folks from Senator Shelby's office here, and Jake Roth, who our master planning chief, provided a briefing to him. And when we walked out downstairs, I said, Jake, you can take this two ways. You either did really good or you screwed up, because now you got a new job, because you really knocked a home run on that briefing. And I said, so expect it from here on that you're going to become one of the voices and face of Redstone. And so I think we've got some folks, and and they're just two. I will tell you, there's dozens and dozens of folks in our world that if you really get to know them, you are really impressed by the work they do day in, day out. Like I said, there's some very, very good people that work in public works and work in the whole garrison. Because when you run a city, you're not just dealing with your own world. You're dealing with the MWR side with all the recreational stuff and all their needs, and the police department and the guards and the security folks and the fire department and all the other airfield. The list doesn't end. It's just a city and it's amazing how many pieces and parts there are that work this well together.
Well, Joe, I really want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk to you and allow not just me, but everybody out there that's tuning in, just to see a little snippet of a life of Joe and where he's come from, and really want to thank him as he begins to prepare himself for retirement. I guess my last question for you before we close out is, what do you think the first thing you're going to do is when you retire and hang that hat up?
Not get up at 5:45, I guess. I don't know. We live on a farm out in Hazel Green, so there's always something to do, but I'm sure I'll find something to keep me occupied.
I hear you, Joe, and I thank you for your time, and I know everybody out there is really taken by some of the stories you had the opportunity to tell us, and I always see it a good time to be able to sit with someone that has given a lot of service to the installation, to the country. I mean, you name it, it's worth getting the opportunity to listen for a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one other piece of this puzzle, and it's called payback. This arsenal got pretty much everybody in my family out of a cotton field, got all their kids educated, and provided a good life for us. So I owe back to this place way more than it owes me. So that's just another side of it, that I just got a debt to pay, and I hope I've scratched it a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure you did. And thank you again, Joe, for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. Thank you, sir.
Right. Well, I really enjoyed that conversation with you, Joe. I hope our audience members and those tuning in had the opportunity to listen in, had the same experience I did, and that's, really getting to listen to what you had. I got a couple of quick announcements before we close out this podcast, and it's really dealing with some of the gates and how we're still dealing with COVID, some MWR, AFES, and just a Veterans Day message, since we will not have a virtual town hall this Thursday, and next time we come on, Veterans Day will have been passed. But for COVID again, here on the installation, we're still seeing about 10 to 11,000 cars coming in on and off the installation, which is roughly putting us about the 25% mark of personnel on the installation, and we continue to facilitate or have the capacity to facilitate up to 50% in the phase that we're in. And we just want to say thank you guys for doing your part again, for creating that 6 feet of distancing, and if you can, wearing a face covering, and continue to wash your hands. And if you're sick, stay home and go see your doctor. But for our gates, I just want to make sure that everybody's tracking if you're new to the installation or not. Again, we have gates 1 and 7 that is open, gates 8 and 9 that are also open, and gates 3 and 10 remain closed. Little note for next Wednesday, which is our observance Veterans Day, gates 8 and 9 will be the only gates open on that Wednesday, and then we'll go back to regular scheduling. Moving on to some MWR announcements. On the 14th, we are hosting the 14th annual Coats and Cans for Kids Drive kickoff, and that's going to be November 19th through the 22nd. This event will be held at the Exchange parking area, building 3220. So by all means, if you have some coats and some cans out there, and the Exchange and also the commissary will be helping facilitate that. So if you wanted to purchase a couple coats to give to this drive for kids, and also if you wanted to purchase some canned goods out of the commissary, you can. More to follow on that as we move forward. Also for AFES and Redstone Arsenal, along with our Military Star Card holders, we're honoring those who have served and have continued to serve, as Veterans Day is scheduled to come upon us again, 11 of November coming up. They will have, keep your eye out for the website out there and look up some specials and sales that AAFES will be bringing to you. And a message that our general manager, Ms. Sheila Enderly, had put is, Veterans Day is a great time to stop by our Redstone Arsenal Exchange. Our team is fully focused on providing a safe, sanitized, and secure environment to honor the service of our nation's veterans while offering significant savings for every member of the military community. So come out and see our exchange. There are some hours for that. Let me get those for you real quick. So the main store on the 11th of November will be open from 10 to 1800. The Class 6 on Goss Road will be open from 10 to 1800 or 6 o'clock. And the Express on Martin, it will be closed. Concessions, alteration shop will be closed. The barber shop will be closed on Veterans Day. So just keep in mind also the GNC will be open from 10 to 6 as well. But those are some hours for Veterans Day, and I want to make sure that you guys are tracking. In saying that, I kind of want to close out with a Veterans Day message. As we approach next Wednesday, every year, the 11th of November is a celebration or is celebrated as Veterans Day. It is celebrated on the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month of the year. This is a day that is celebrated to remember the sacrifices of brave men and women of the United States of America who have gave their all for making it the best nation in the world. On this day, please send warm Veterans Day greetings or messages to our Veterans Day, wishing their families and friends, and to continue to remind them of the bravery and the sacrifices of our great veterans and what they put forth to continue to push this great country. In closing, I just want to say thank you to Joe and thank you to you guys out there who have continued to listen and tune in as we bring you information not only on our virtual town hall, but this podcast, CSM BLUF line, and we will continue to bring information. Continue to tune in, and again, thank you for being a member of our team here at Team Redstone.